Welcome, everyone. It's been a moment since I shared an update, so I wanted to record a video showing you all the things that I've been working on, particularly as today I finished the final project, about 4 rounds of proofing, and the Lacrime campaign setting has been sent off for manufacturing. So we're going to begin by looking at the completion table that I'll be sharing as part of this update. One thing I want to point out is we have 2 items here listed under 100%. These are basically done. The only thing is once they start fitting stuff into the collector's edition box or fitting the cards into the card box, we might learn that something might need to be made bigger or smaller to make sure everything fits. So I've done all the design that can be done at this point, but once we do that white boxing fitting test, then we'll know if we need to adjust these in any way, and then again adjust the art to match the new box size. So now let's take a few minutes to look through some of the files that I have put together and delivered for manufacturing. This is going to be the cover of the core rulebook. The covers are always sent as separate files than the manuscript, and I'm wrong. This is not the cover of the core rulebook. This is actually the back of the character sheets. So if you're getting the collector's edition, you're getting a pad of 50 character sheets. The back of that pad will be this graphic. So let's close that. Next up, this is the character sheets. This is the 50-page character sheets. Through stretch goals, we unlock different character sheet designs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it cycles back again. So you'll have all of these different character sheets styles as options for you to play with in your game. So closing that. This is one side of the aluminum bookmark that's going to be dye sublimated and put into the collector's edition. And this is the other side of the bookmark. So it uses both art designs for the core rulebook and for the campaign setting book. This is the cover of the player's guide. So this will be the small zine that you can share with your players. This has the bleed, so there's, it's actually going to be cropped closer to the, a little bit in from what you see here. But this is the cover, and tried to go with like an old horror novel movie poster design here. This is the digital file that's going to be used to create the embroidered patches that will be in the collector's edition. And this is a mock-up of what that patch will look like so that the manufacturers know exactly kind of what I'm looking for. This is a mock-up of the 20-sided die, just to give you a sense of what the colors will be. It's going to be neon pink mixed with a neon orange as a swirl, slightly translucent, and the numbers will all be etched in. I just couldn't figure out how to do that in a timely manner in Blender. So yeah, it's going to be that off-white color. Instead of a 20, you'll have my Dread skull logo. This is an example of what the 6-sided die will look like. Again, that same pink and orangey swirl, or pink and yellow, sorry, pink and yellow swirl. This is the die line for the director's screen. This isn't a file you guys would ever need to know, but this is just to give the manufacturer an idea of what size and dimensions I'm working with. It's going to be a Z fold, so 3 panels, one folds forward, the other folds back. This is going to be the other side of the director screen. This is what your players will be looking at during the campaign. We've got my Lacrime skull symbol here on the left, the lemons that represent one of the main exports of the island here on the right, a sad-looking woman in the middle, and Lies by Omission symbol on the top there. This is the cast card, so these are the NPCs that are on the island. This is the print file that they'll be using to manufacture these. So we've got all 53 illustrations I did. This represents a few hundred hours of work. I am incredibly proud of it and shocked that I was able to do so many elaborate portraits. It started to get a little bit faster as I kind of developed a process and tools and everything, but still, no bones about it, each one of these is at least 5 hours of work. So, yeah, about 250 hours. It's a lot. These are the backs of the cards. Not an exciting file, but still I have to deliver a file that has the same amount of sheets as the cards, but this is what the backs of the cards will look like. Nice, simple, kind of playing card design. This is the printout, the player-facing printout of the island. This is going to be a large 4 bifold map that the players will be able to write on as they go from location to location and find out where things are. And the director is going to have their own internal map that denotes what all of these locations are, but the players will get to look at this and kind of imagine themselves walking around this island. This is the cover for the core rulebook. Again, with that movie poster design, nice description on the back, yeah, all the details that will be needed. It's going to be done in a paperback format, so I wanted to make sure this core rulebook is cheap and easy to disseminate to other game creators out there. So hopefully the campaign becomes popular with people other than me at this point. This is the cover of the campaign setting book. So this is going to be a larger hardcover book in a square format, 210 by 210 millimeters, and this will be the cover. This is, I guess, another cover file. Don't know why I have it in here twice, but I'll look into that. Now this is the interior of the core rulebook. So this, as you can see, the book is going to be about 118 pages, and it is, like I said, paperback format, black and white interior. But lots of fun thematics and weird graphics throughout. Tons of examples on how the game works and how you can play it, so it should be pretty darn clear. And the game's also incredibly simple. What with using the tarot cards, anytime a player wants to attempt something from their perspective, all they have to do is draw a card from the bottom of the deck to see if they succeeded or failed. This is the player's guide interior pages. Everything in the player's guide also appears in the core rulebook. So this is a much smaller 44-page zine, I believe. It's going to be perfect, saddle stitched. The idea being that maybe, directors will buy multiples of these to give to each of their players to really more easily get lots of people involved in the game. This is the interior of the director screen. Let's see, let me zoom in to show you what we're looking at here. On the left side, the left panel, which is from this dotted line to the left, I believe, this gives you the general overview of a gaming session. So it begins with dawn, where the director manages dread, checks the weather, relays any visions the players had as dreams overnight. Then the players go to a location where they have a scene, random encounters between that, and then the next scene, random encounter, etc. That kind of cycle. Reminders on how the tarot deck is used to manage dread, how you adjust dread throughout the game, which results in more or fewer failures as participants, your stars draw cards from the dread deck. Reminders on how action scenes work, stat tests work, the inciting incidents, and then we have an array of action scenes here. Description of easy, medium, and hard, and different stat tests that can occur during these action scenes. And then lastly, we'll end it with 20 weather options that can affect dread either positively or negatively based on how good the weather is that day. This is the print file for the 6-sided die. Right now it's just listing what is going to be engraved and what is going to be printed. For the 6-sided die, it goes from -2 to +2 with skulls where zeros would be, or you could treat that as a 3 if you needed to. It's really kind of up to you how you can use that in your campaign, but generally it allows the random encounters to feel more random. And then this is the 20-sided die. It is just the numbers 1 through 20, but instead of 20, we have the dread skull that appears throughout the Lacrime campaign setting. This is the print file for the collector's edition box. So zoom in a bit. It's a huge file, so it is kind of struggling to open. And I guess, or struggling to zoom in. Anyways, I guess it's not going to let me zoom in. So this is the top of the box. On the one side of it here, we list all of the contents. It makes it a little easier for me to sell this thing on a shelf when it's shrink wrapped. Oh, it zoomed in. Okay. The bottom, zoom out again now. The bottom of the box lists all of the necessary like manufacturing shipping info, like where it's made and who to contact if something goes wrong, stuff like that. The inside of the box is going to be this black and yellow pattern, while the interior sleeve is also that black and yellow pattern that I'd like to show you, but this is stuck now. So I guess we'll just close that and move on. You had a fun look at it for a moment. This is the cast card box. So our 53 cast NPCs will appear in this tuck box. This doesn't show the print lines, but we can still see here how that box is going to be designed. This is the front, this is the side of it, this is the back of the box, and this is the right side of the box. And the bottom of the box appears there. So this is the biggest part of this project that has taken me a while to get through, and I'm deciding to give you a sense of how this initial campaign setting for the Lies by Omission system, L'Isola Lacrime, works. So this is 336 pages, I think it is. It's going to be a square format, as you can see. And start with, there's a whole bunch of stuff in this book to get people started with. I really kind of wanted to make sure there was like a whole tour de force so people understand how this system can be used. It's a very simple role-playing game system, but it can be used to build pretty elaborate worlds. So this begins with a section basically describing how the game works, reiterating how travel works on this island, how your players, or stars as we call them, will move from region to region. Then I have a chapter explaining this fictional island, such as the weather, the climate, the exports, where it is in the Mediterranean, what type of plants and animals can be found there. And then I have a nice section giving possible backstories that your players can use if they want to quickly create a star, or they can always come up with their own, but this kind of involves things that will give them stuff to do on the island, like a reason to be there. This island only receives a ferry once a week, so I wanted to make sure in the 70s someone had a reason to spend at least a week at this place. Now the establishing shot describes how they arrive on the island, how you can play out these scenes with your players, and then what the bed and breakfast is like that they'll all be staying at. Then a little bit on the schedule, kind of iterating like, when church services happen, how often the ferry comes. The factions chapter describes the different groups that are operating on the island, some in secret, some in public, where those, how those organizations are organized, what plots their storylines are involved in, just to kind of give you a sense of how everyone is interacting with each other before the players arrive. Now the plot section describes the different storylines that are all happening concurrently. This is all the stuff that's going on in the background as your players arrive on the island. One thing you'll notice is I created movie posters for each of these plots. So I'll be offering those during the Pledge Manager as an additional add-on in case anyone wants to get prints, a pack of prints of all of these different movie plots. So, for example, there's another. This describes just kind of holistically what the plot is about, where it's eventually going to go, where your players will find clues, such as what locations and which cast members they'll interact with to discover clues, and then what type of developments and running threads will occur related to that particular plot. So, just move past the plot section. After the plots, we then come across the locations. So the location section describes where everything is on the island, and in the general gameplay loop, your players will pick a location to visit. They'll head to that location, have a random encounter on their way there, which can lead to more elaborate stories if you need. And at that location, they will have an entry that describes what they can find as a result of investigation in that area. You get your public-facing description, some little director notes, and who will be at that location in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Not just investigation, sometimes athletics will be needed to do things at that location. Sometimes communication can be used to maybe like find clues that are written on walls or in books at that location, or maybe overhear rumors happening at the trattoria, for example. The way that I have all of these tables described is from least amount of successes to most amount of successes. So as your players do that push your luck mechanic of drawing cards to see if they're able to get more in their investigation and uncover more clues, you can kind of just work your way down that table. After they get to that location, your players will choose who they want to interact with at that location. And again, each location describes who's there in the morning, afternoon, and evening. So if they, for example, want to talk to, it's the afternoon and they want to have a chat with Nicoletta Scavellini, we can go over to the next chapter of the book, which describes our cast members. And you'd go to the Nicoletta Scavellini page, take a look at her entry. I guess I picked one with the higher number, so I got to scroll quite a bit to get there. There you go. And your players will be able to use investigation to see general things about her on her person. Communication will allow her to unlock more clues and more plot points as they interact with her. And then plus, everyone can be intimidated at different levels of success using the violence score. Sometimes intimidation will result in action scenes like fistfights or chase scenes, things like that. And then you'll also see for every one of the entry that gets unlocked via successes, there's also rewards, such as changing a running thread, increasing dread, decreasing dread, gaining knowledge cards, and so on. After our cast chapter, we then have the gossip section. So Maria, the proprietor of the bed and breakfast, is very gossipy. So your stars can always begin each day by asking her about other people on the island. And the first item is free, and subsequent details about those people will require 1 or 2 successes. So fun little gossip system there. Now, a lot of times throughout your running threads and throughout your interactions, developments will occur. Developments are kind of like these little mini scenes that happen in between the scenes. This is just kind of like plot elements or additional challenges that your stars may face as they develop that story. By tying these to running threads, it makes sure that this stuff happens as a result of their investigations. And so all of these developments can appear here. So you can see some of them are very narrative. Some of them involve specific scene-related interactions. Some of them involve action scenes, multiple choices. Lots of different things can happen throughout these developments. Now, visions are kind of the dream sequences or cut sequences or smash cuts that can happen elsewhere on the island. Things that are often unlocked by your stars as they proceed with their investigation. It's really just their subconscious trying to figure out what's going on. So we have different scenes you can read to your stars there. Knowledge is defined with both a player description, so if your player gains a knowledge card, you can always read to them a reminder of what that card means, and then a director description. This is the internal title that helps you remember how they got that card and what that card represents. The running threads kind of explains basically how these threads appear. So most of these are tied to individual plots, and every time they unlock a clue, you would check off a box, and that may lead to a development, or you may unlock some more clues, which may lead to a vision, or maybe they'll gain like a permanent stat increase, or maybe the running thread represents like things that they need to collect throughout the island. Action scenes are described here. We have lots of location-specific things that can occur, such as rock climbing, rowing, fist fight, stealth, breaking in, searching, and a foot chase. Menus describes all the different types of food, coffee, drink, alcohol, fish that are available throughout the island, so that you can make it feel believable and livable as a real place. Miscellaneous charts describe some additional things that your players may come across on the island, such as different cast members' libraries and different record collections, philosophies that some of your characters may have. Stress relievers is reminders of suggestions that ways that your stars can try and reduce dread throughout their time on the island. Random encounters, we have 20 that can occur during the day, 20 that can occur during day or night, and then 20 that occur at night. So you can really kind of freshen up everything that happens and breathe spooky life into your players' stars, your players' lives. Bibliography and photo illustration references are all listed here. Glossary has a definition of all of the main terms throughout the book. About the author, describes me and my co-creators here. And finally, the director's notes ends with a page that you can write directly on to keep notes as your stars go through the plot, or you can easily just scan that. I'll also have these available too as additional resources on my website. And so that is the book. Like I said, it's going to be 330 pages, massive hardcover book that is, I think, a really great description on how this campaign, or how a whole fictional island can exist with multiple plots, multiple factions, all in an open world format, so your stars can determine where they go and who they interact with and how they learn about these secret mysteries happening all around them. And if you made it this far in the video, I'll let you know that the next one I'm going to be working on, fun little surprise, is going to be based on the movie Bad Times at the El Royale. So I'm going to make it like a desert 70s casino feel. So I think that'll be really fun, and it'll pair very well with my Tarot by the Neon Light tarot deck that I already have. So thank you all so much for listening and making it this far in the video.